You're listening to Be in Bozeman. Today, we are speaking with Nathan Williams, co-founder and marketing vice president of DropTrip. DropTrip is a local startup here in Bozeman. Essentially, regular people deliver items. But I'll let Nathan tell us a little bit more about DropTrip. Hi, Nathan.
Hey, Rhonda.
How are you?
Doing really well. Glad
Get
to
a
be
little
here.
bit closer to the mic there.
All right, got it. Is that better?
That's perfect.
Awesome.
Now, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Oregon and just kind of been a Northwest boy. Moved out here to Montana about 7 years ago with my wife. We just love it here. I've been all over the world, been able to live a couple years in Europe. Love the outdoors, play the Spanish bagpipes, love entrepreneurship.
Oh, you are that guy, right?
I guess maybe I am. Yeah.
So tell me, what is DropTrip? That's an interesting name. So you have to kind of give me a little bit of background on that.
Totally. Well, I guess maybe you could say the legend is that, I mean, it perhaps could be DropTrip could be connected to a play on words with drop ship, drop trip, ship.
Okay.
And then also drop off a package with the trip you're already taking, the drop trip aspect there.
Okay.
So I think, it could be either way, but I think the founder, CEO of our company, I think it was more connected to the word drop ship, that kind of idea.
Okay. And tell me, what is that?
Essentially, DropTrip is community-powered shipping and delivery. So people who need things shipped somewhere, especially city to city or across town if you're in a big city, and especially items that are harder to ship, awkward, fragile. Essentially, they post it on the platform. And then people who are already traveling to those locations can take those items for them. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, is the platform online? Is it on an app, or how does that work?
Yes, right now it's just online, but it's mobile friendly, and we're continuing to optimize it to be friendlier and friendlier for your smartphone, but you can use it for smartphone, desktop. One of our philosophies is we really want to make this device agnostic. No matter where you are, what device you're on, we want you to be able to participate in the DropTrip community. Okay,
so what inspired your CEO to launch DropTrip?
Yeah, good question. So originally he actually was working for Right Now Technologies, another big startup here in Bozeman, and he went over to Australia to be working there, and he noticed that people needed the climbing community over there, the stuff which is so expensive. Mm-hmm. And in the States, it was a lot less expensive. So, hey, everybody's traveling over there. Let's, bring it over to Australia and resell it to them. We make money, but also the people in Australia get it for a deal. It was that was kind of the seed of the idea. And then comes Startup Weekend in the end of 2013. He pitched the idea, just kind of, this is what I'm thinking, I don't know. And anyway, a team gathered around that, and then
Wow.
we really honed it, got it down to what it is today, and that's kind of where it came out.
So run me through a DropTrip shipping process. How do you, give me kind of the step-by-step how that happens.
Got it. Okay. Well, essentially, let's say, I'll use an example that just happened, and I think it just got delivered today or yesterday.
Okay.
Somebody had a cast iron stove that they needed shipped.
Wow.
From Whitehall to Boise, Idaho. Mm-hmm. And that's hard and awkward to ship. Probably weigh a lot of money. So so let's say I'm that guy that needs the ship there. I would go to the DropTrip site, and I would fill out post the shipment. So I would say, here's what it is. Here's how much I'm willing to pay the traveler. That's another element that we, rather than us deciding what the price should be, the shipper sending it or needing it brought to them gets to decide the price, what's worth it to them, the traveler. And then I upload a picture of the stove so travelers get to see how big it'll be. I can put in the dimensions, and then I post it to the site. And then travelers can basically see the shipment, and then just say, hey, I want to carry that. And that's what actually happened. There's a traveler asking him a question like, does it, how really big is it? Or little questions. And he's like, yep, here it is. And they're like, awesome, I'll pick you. So kind of a handshake happens. And then the way the money works actually is the shipper, the credit card is charged, but the money is held in escrow. And so then the traveler comes by, picks up the stove, goes and drops it off at its location, and just clicks within our system, hey, I've dropped it off. The shipper can confirm with whoever they dropped it off with, confirms, yes, it's done. And then the confirmation on both sides is complete, and the money is automatically released and put into the traveler's bank account.
Now, that seems like a very succinct process, like it all works together. Now, I noticed on the website, you can tell people this requires a car, this requires a truck. So that's another feature that I thought was pretty interesting. So you really know what's needed to make that delivery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then it makes it easier for travelers. Oh, I need this size vehicle for if it's a giant T-Rex head. That would probably be a truck or a trailer versus something that'll fit in a backpack if it's a small computer server or something. But we also have another feature that's just really important, is actually being able to post your trip. We're all traveling all the time.
Now, I didn't see that on the website.
Yeah.
That must be pretty new.
It's actually been around for a while, but we're going to be updating it to be even more front-facing.
Okay.
But what you can do is basically post your trip, say, here's how much I can carry. I can carry something that fits in a car, a truck, a trailer, and say where you're going from, the start and end location, and the dates you are. And then a shipper can go on there and say, hey, I need something exactly where you were going, and they can post a shipment to you as a traveler. So it really streamlines that process.
Well, I misspoke. I have seen that.
Okay.
I have seen that. I was looking at it and I was thinking, oh, okay, if I were driving, but I'm not driving. I rarely drive very many places, but I noticed that there are even local places, like someone wants something from Bozeman to Helena or to Livingston. So it's not really it doesn't necessarily have to be a long trip.
No, exactly. Not at all. That's a great point. It's like we had some local nonprofits here, for example, Habitat for Humanity's Restore, where they resell everything related to homes, for example. And a lot of people have donated desks and couches and things like this that are harder for them to get from their home to the place they want to donate. So like for in this instance, the Habitat Restore or Saks as well. They have a donation center. And so people have, I think, sent through DropTrip a couple desks there as well. So.
Well, let me ask you this question. I notice, or no, I don't notice, but for me, there are things that maybe would be great if I could ship, but because I never can, because I don't want to spend that kind of money on it, or because it's just too heavy and it's too much hassle, I just never do it. But I think this is an interesting way to kind of look at shipping, whereas sometimes people may not consider shipping these real obscure looking items or huge items. Now they might actually have an opportunity to do so.
Totally. The stuff that's in our garage that we're like, how are we going to donate that? Or,
right.
Or, my uncle left his skis and stuff in my garage. How do I get it back to him? I'm not going to pay the giant, shipping costs to get them back. And like, oh, DropTrip. And, I can just get it to him across. Yeah. So it really makes it easy and opens it up for more affordable choice, and makes it fun too.
Yeah. Now let me ask you, do you have to have insurance on that stuff, or how does that work?
Awesome question. Yeah, we actually do provide insurance. That's one of the cool things. For all eligible shipments, there is an automatic $5,000 worth of insurance that covers the item per shipment. And then as well, on the traveler side, to protect them, we have $1 million commercial liability policy for them. So it's really, we want to really keep our community in mind as they're using our platform.
Well, that's a great, because rarely ever do people just, talk about that part of it, the liability to getting things to different places. So it's interesting, or it's good to know that you all have that covered.
Absolutely. Yeah. The trust and security is just so paramount to us. And so we really have built that into the system to help protect the users, peace of mind, security, and trust. So, even looking at if you would ship your items through FedEx or UPS, I think a kind of standard minimum is $100. So we've really blown that out of the water to make the standard minimum $5,000. So.
Right. All right. When you mentioned the founder or the CEO, and when he came up with this idea back in 2013, I think that was correct.
Well,
or
right.
14.
It was before then, actually, but then he brought the
Brought
idea.
to Bozeman, right,
Yep.
in 13,
Yeah.
correct? And you said this team kind of gathered around him and supported him. Now, I know this is not a one-person show, but it seems on the website that there are many people actually helping out. A, how does that work? How do all of you work together? But B, how did you get so many people to buy into this idea or this company?
Right. Yeah, the team came together in a really interesting way. There was probably about 10 of us at Startup Weekend that really got around it. And, it was, I don't know if you're acquainted with Startup Weekend, but what it is over a weekend, this is an international company, and people from wherever come to these events and basically create a startup from scratch in 54 hours. And at the end of that 54 hours, they kind of presented to judges, and we won that weekend, all these different ideas. But after that, there were just less than half a dozen of us who said, we want to continue on and make this a real business, not just kind of make this a networking experience weekend. So it started off with that. And now, as far as how we all work together, we just really launched just a few months ago, and we have about 6 people plus, 6 people full-time. I mean, we've got developers and designers, marketers, people, social media marketing, all of us working together. We don't have an official office, though. That's probably one of the interesting things. First off, being a startup, we're super bootstrapping it. We're actually working with Blackstone Launchpad, connected to MSU. We're working out of their workspace. And so that gives us a way to have an office, kind of, but it's not an official address per se. I mean, so much of our work is in the cloud, on a computer. We can work at a coffee shop at our home. So that dynamic really happens as we work together at the office or other places.
All right. How has the Bozeman community, besides those 10 people or the people who were at the startup, how have they received DropTrip?
It's been fantastic.
Not even Bozeman, but Montana.
Right, in general. No,
or all over.
Yeah, everywhere we go, the people are just like, this is an awesome idea. We love it. I mean, it's been so well received. It's, I think for some people, they hear it and they go, what? Put my stuff in a stranger's car? And so I think it depends a lot on people, if they're more acquainted with the sharing economy or the changes that are happening, all of, like Airbnb and Uber and those things. Those who get that space and are more acquainted, they get it immediately. And they're like, we want to be a part of this. We want, they sign up, they tell their friends, they start participating. The ones that are a little more hesitant, like, I'm not sure about this idea, it takes them a little longer. They sign up, they try it out, they're testing it. So it's a mix, I would say, in Montana. I think more rural communities don't experience the sharing economy the same way New York will, and so, or know about it as
But
much.
I'm sure rural economies can find a lot of use in this.
That absolutely, exactly. We actually went up to the Made in Montana Helena show a few months ago, and we were able to talk directly with a lot of the local businesses that were up there, and it was just so fantastic to talk to them. They were like, this is amazing. We have such a pain point in this of getting our products around the state regionally and getting them to our users. It's so expensive, it's difficult. So it was really fun to connect with them and see that this is a real need.
Now, when you're getting these products to people, is there a timeline, or do you have to be kind of willing to go with the flow on the dates and the time?
Good question. Right now, as the community is still growing, sometimes it's a go with the flow. Like if it's not time sensitive, then it's a better platform to use.
Right.
What's interesting is there's some shipments where they could get picked up the very next day, and others where it may take a little longer. The farther it is, the harder it is to find the right match for a traveler. Like we had some heirloom chairs that needed to go all the way to California from Bozeman. That's a big, and I think it was on our system for 3 months. But then finally found a traveler, and they were able to get it. They were waiting for over a year to try to get those chairs, and then they found out about DropTrip, and they're like, we don't care how long it takes, we got that. And so that is the longest case. Then we had a lady who was in Missoula. She's from Bozeman. She's a camera teacher or a photography teacher, and she forgot her photography equipment.
Wow.
And she posted on our site, help, I need them. Can you bring them the very next day? And we had a traveler who got it right then, it was on a weekend. So of course, who can you possibly get that kind of service on? And she offered the travel a lot more than normal. And it was she got it there in time, and it worked out great. So.
Wow, that's a great. Those are two great examples of DropTrip working fairly quickly and being at a slower pace. Now, I have a question to ask you: why this company, and why now? Why this here in Bozeman, and why at this time?
Right. The awesome thing that's happening in today's world now is how the sharing economy, the collaborative economy, is just changing the landscape. I think that people more and more, they're not as concerned about owning stuff as much as having access to things. All of us are listening to Pandora instead of buying music. We're watching Netflix instead of buying movies. We're using Airbnb to have that experience of connecting with people or seeing cities and communities in a different way rather than staying in a hotel. We're using Lyft and Uber as consumers, but also we're doing it because we want to make some extra money on the side, whether with our house, with Airbnb, or our vehicle. It's just technology is bringing together people in a way to leverage underutilized space, whether houses or vehicles or assets in general. And so one major aspect of that, of course, is vehicles. All of us going, since joining and being a part of DropTrip and helping grow this, I drive out on the highway and I'm looking around us, all the cars going past us, they're all empty. They might have even 2 or 3 people in there, but the amount of space just underutilized. And just waiting to be utilized, to put a shipment in there, and boom, you've got an awesome connection. So, technology, along with the cultural shift in willing to do this and wanting to, even how people want to connect with their communities in new ways, and technology is helping that. So I think DropTrip, it's the perfect time.
Where do you see DropTrip going in the future? I know future now is 2 days,
Right.
2 days is 10 years or something like. That's not really accurately true, but that's how it feels sometimes.
Yeah, we're still very much in startup mode and launching in Montana. And, short-term, long-term, we're going to be starting to expand into the Northwest and the South and, across the whole U.S. We really want to begin to connect communities across the whole U.S. And long-term, we also really want to go global. We really want to, we see also a need in other communities worldwide who have not as good shipping systems, or Hawa, one of our co-founders, she growing up did a lot of travel in Africa throughout there, and just saw the need for getting things between communities, and so we really see a potential in those other areas.
What advice would you give someone who is thinking about, launching a startup? Not like this, but just the courage to even launch a startup, which is a huge undertaking.
It is. When you're doing it with others, it doesn't seem as huge. That's for sure. The one thing is that don't do it alone. I would say that even if you are just the only co-founder and it's just a small thing, get connected with other entrepreneurs in your community. Find out who might be there, an entrepreneur community. Go to a startup weekend. Getting connected with already what's happening has been so huge for me personally. Before in my past entrepreneur endeavors, it was very isolated and lonely. Like, am I the only one that's scared or has questions about how to do this? And you're reading books, you're Googling everything, but suddenly in your community, these things you can get connected and find that community, and that's huge. So I would say get connected as much as you can. Probably the second thing would be, once you start and launch your startup, stay connected with yourself. Stay connected with your community.
And what?
I've
what do
noticed,
you mean by
yes,
that?
You can get so caught up in the intensity of your startup. It can be your entire world. that you can lose touch with yourself or your loved ones, your family, your friends, and just be sure through the whole process to really take care of yourself. Eat right, sleep, stay connected with the people you love. That's going to be the thing. I mean, that's going to get you through it and help really clear your mind as you do the things to build your company and build yourself through the process.
All right. Now, if someone wants to get involved and deliver for DropTrip or maybe post something on DropTrip, how can they do that?
Yes.
How can they do that? My southern twang came out a little bit.
Like, yeah.
We're not cutting that out.
No.
No, this is organic.
Okay.